So the next spot we're going to is the Honey Hole. And I mean, it has gotten this name because over the years, it has just become the spot that produces. I've got a rule in there in that it is a bucks only location. Because usually you got to wear knee boots, sometimes hip waders, sometimes chest waders, depending on the rains that summer, depends on how high the water gets for you to get out there and access this place. So the Honey Hole sets up like this. It is a public land island that has bedding off of the two tips of the points. And then I've learned over the years that there's some other little kind of off bedding kind of locations near it. I've had some really great encounters in the Honey Hole, and no two encounters have I sat in the same spot. I've never killed a buck in there from the same location, but I've killed 4 bucks out of there. Anytime I've hunted that spot, I've had to kind of adjust a little bit with on the island itself for the wind, or maybe I had a bow or I had a gun, or maybe there wasn't a lot of tree cover, or maybe the way the water was high that year, I kind of cut off a certain section of it, so I wanted to move my spot in a little bit. So there's been some different reasons how I've hunted it. So it's never been go to the same spot, sit there, the deer come from the same 2 beds, and you kill them. They've always come from different locations. The encounters have always been in and around this kind of hub of an island. High ground, full of oaks. So this brings us to this year, 6-day gun season, day after Thanksgiving. So Black Friday. I was probably the 6th or 7th vehicle on the road that night. It was my first time into the Honey Hole for the year. And so I wasn't really sure what to expect. Sometimes the water's high, sometimes wearing the right boots can be an issue, or you just get wet feet. And it was cold, the swamp was borderline on freezing. I didn't know if the deer would still be in there because once it starts to freeze, they kind of evacuate. But I kind of had a feeling 6 days of gun season was going to kind of drive them into this kind of quiet little spot, and that's really what I was banking on. So I slipped in there. Changing it up today, heading out to state land, public marsh here. Save the stand and just bring a chair. And hopefully they get moving on their feet here a little bit because it's pretty nasty. Alright, beating Dad out here. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Just had a nice leftover turkey sandwich, and yeah, I guess we'll see what we can come up with here. Okay, I made it out of the swamp. I'm pretty stoked in the Honey Hole. I've had some really great buck encounters here. Area that I could see last year, like 50, 60 yards, was now overgrown with red brush and some dogwood coming in. And I could only see maybe 20 yards into that. I set myself up on the tip of this point. And I was excited about it because any deer would have to go past me in order to get by me, to get out to the food, the main path that they were coming in on. I came in on the deer trail, they were gonna have to walk out past that to get out. About 35, 40 minutes in, this doe pops out at about 20 yards right in front of me, staring right at me. And I'm kind of in these cattails, my whole upper half is covered, I got the gun on my lap, like I'm not even moving. And she sees me, stares at me for like a good minute, and then boogers out and tail up and gone and out the other side. So I got into a standing position where I could see just a touch higher than when I was seated, which I'm glad that I made that choice. I wasn't standing maybe, like I said, 20 minutes or so, and I see a deer moving to me through the red brush. I mean, coming right at me, probably 70 yards. But he gets to about 50, and I see the half the antler, the rack. Oh man, that's a pretty good beam. That's a pretty good G2. Yep, that's exactly what I'm after. A good 2.5-year-old out of here. I mean, of course, I would have loved him if he would have been a monster buck, but shooting a good 2.5 out of this spot on that day was going to be more than good enough for me. I don't think I'd seen a 2.5-year-old in the 6 days that I hunted throughout gun season. So he comes through, he's on the move, I get the scope up on him, you know, I get it dialed in right on the front of his chest, and he comes through the dogwood a little bit and kind of spots me. Again, guns up, crosshairs on him, it's go time. So I send one, he tears out of there, tail's kind of tucked, kind of not really, I don't really know. I'm kind of freaking out. Now it's, you know, we're down to about the last 20 minutes or so, it's dark. I says, all right, well, I'm going to circle the back side of the island, and I'm going to head over here to where the deer kind of went. So I circle back around to the back side of the island, and but I got no blood, I got no hair, I got nothing. The only thing I'm going on is this is the direction I seen the deer run. So I come around a corner, and there's a dead deer, but he's got no rack. I don't see anything. Looks like a doe. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This isn't even the deer I want, but now I find another deer that's dead. Come on. And of course, like I said, it's in a nice little spot. It was absolutely makes sense that a deer would go there and die. So I walk over to this thing and I give it one little good jiggle with my foot. Holy cow, is this a deer I shot? So sure enough, I go over, I look at the head, rip it up out of the snow. I see he's got a half busted beam over here. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I saw that buck through a scope. That thing had two sides. No way this is the same deer. He must have busted it off when he ran. Nope, it's been busted off probably since the rut. So I saw the good side coming through, and that was enough to give me the go-ahead green light.
A public land hunt.
Public lander. Had to stop and notch the tree in the honey hole blind. I did 3 bucks out of this spot. Comes the 4th one today. Notched it while we were coming by. Got them all buttoned up, ready to go.
I'll follow you home, then we can hang it real quick.
All right.